This thing is just, it's so overheated, right? I'm still looking at a possible potential for this inverse head and shoulders here in the SRSI and a push up. I I want to see Bitcoin back below $100,000. And I really wanted to see that happen last month, and clearly it didn't.
Really?
Like I would be perfectly happy with a run up to like 125, that $131,000 zone. These are our targets from this cup and the monthly flag pattern that we had here. This flag pattern. So I would be okay with that, but I think that if action continued beyond that without a significant dip, it would be unsustainable. It would be really, really weak. You know, this like the MACD here is just way too high, historically way too high. I mean, this is the 2021 crash here, the 21-22 crash right here, and it was only here, right? And the MACD is way high, well, significantly higher than that now. Bitcoin weekly looks like we're going to see a short-term bounce, SRSI. It could dip a little bit lower, and definitely seen some pressure from the MACD. So overall, I expect lower, but we could see a pushback up before a dip. Yeah, I think this one's coming back down. Daily looks overheated, right? Just from the momentum indicators, and it is back above this 112 pivot. This is a really big pivot. This has shown more strength than I thought. Like it got back inside this channel, which is like the monthly channel, and I was a little concerned that this might be confirming that as resistance, and it would dip back. If it did that, then unfortunately, the odds are that it was going to go deeper than 100,000, which I really kind of didn't want to see for the longer term health. But it doesn't look like we're going to get that right now. May come back up and check this trend line or something, see what happens there. One project I'm involved in does a newsletter, and their headline for the newsletter was murky last week. And I'm like, that's just such a great description, because if you look at various indicators in various time frames, as is very, very common when action is choppy, it's just unclear. 4 hour looks a little heated. Might drift up a little bit. I don't think it'll hit 115 before it drops back. 1 hour, same kind of thing. I mean, do have some flaggy potential here, but this SRSI definitely look like it's gonna confirm and drop back down. So look for a check back down to 112.4-ish, I would say, based on the structure. I think Sol's been underperforming a little bit, because it overperformed early, and now I think it's underperforming a little bit. Certainly underperforming ETH. ETH underperformed for a long time. You see that a lot, right? So when something underperforms versus Bitcoin for a period of time, you know that it's going to be due, right? It's going to get a breakout. It's going to get a pop, and ETH did that. For instance, Sol's done that in the past too. Sol's not a little bit. Sol's definitely more volatile than ETH. This is looking heated too. Yeah, 224. I don't think we'll get back above 230 here before we see a drop off. This is That's a bearish order block here. There's a bullish order block here, so we broke out of both of those. I just overall, this is a rising wedge, and I do not like these. I really, really, really do not like this type of formation. This is typically unsustainable. The volume's good. That's the one thing that makes me think, well, maybe it does push up a little higher, because the volume's really good. Normally you see it start to get a little fadey up here, but I don't think it's not ready for a run right now. 4 hours, that's almost surely headed back down, and probably come back down and check this area, right? I mean, that's the most likely area of support. To come back down to the 212 area, I would kind of wait and see what happens there. This kind of action is typically not sustainable. I like to use this regression trend tool. This is kind of nice. If you don't want to draw channels, or if you want to draw channels but you're not really sure how, this regression trend tool is great. Super, super easy, right? Click on regression trend, pick the low, pick the high, bang. There you go. It's kind of approximate. You may want to tweak the channel a little bit, but it gives you sort of an overall idea. And super, super quick, right? I mean, there was seconds. I think this is getting a little tired. Right? Here's the opportunity for a little bit more of a push up, but overall, yeah, I think they're just going to see some downwards push on it. The 15 minutes definitely looks like this looks like it's going to puke. This is a bearish Adam and Eve pattern. you'd be looking for a downside move off of that. If it did do this, so your target would be somewhere down here, like around 216. So the Adam and Eve is a reversal pattern. And because we're at a top area, we're in an area where you could expect resistance. It's pretty likely. This is, like I say, just looking pukey, right? It would not surprise me to see a little V in the middle of this either, which is even more bearish. Usually what you see with stuff like this is, let's say it went up here and then came back down here, right, to there. You're looking for a pullback. Come up here and then drop down. You would expect to see a retrace here, probably up to the 233 level. Right? That's 50%. 50% of what that move would be. That's what I'd be looking for. Maybe up to 224 or so. But then a continuation on down. So if you're looking to short this, I would just kind of wait. To be honest, I would wait, see if it played out, pops down here, comes back up here. If you you might try like an early entry up here on a short, but I would probably wait. If it came back up to 224, I would probably wait till it dropped back to 223, get a closure below 223, and watch the momentum, see what's happening there. Also, I look at a given time frame for my setups, right? You always want to look at the higher time frames so that you're aware of the overall momentum. You don't want to get swamped by higher time frame momentum. But you pick your setup like this. If this plays out like this, this is the setup, right? With this move, and it's a 2% spot, so you're probably gonna have to play that with some leverage to make any decent money off of it. So the setup's on the 15 minutes. I will look at the higher time frames to determine momentum and stuff, and then I will go to that like the 5 minute or maybe even the 3 minute, to determine my entry. But again, that would be after. That would be like over here, right? So after it's done all this, if it does, then look for something up here, and then that's where I'd be looking for my entry on the lower time frame. Bitcoin dominance, a little bit worried about that one. I think that we have managed to flip this to resistance. Yeah, or 58% or whatever it is, flip to resistance. That's nice. I'm pretty sure that is flip to resistance at this point. I think we'll see a bounce here, and ideally it would come into a lower high and then continue on down. And that's a super common, right? So here we have a push. You usually see a bounce into a lower high and then a second push before a bottom as a minimum. If you thought maybe this was just a short term and we're going to see a bounce and try back up, you'd be looking at the 58.25 and the 58.20. 58.20, I mean, you can clearly see there's some consolidation in there. This is a much stronger level, right? Acted as support right here. Breakthrough and rejection, couldn't hold it, but still, I like that as a pretty solid level. So probably going to see some reaction there. Basically, alts are just going to continue to suck as long as the Bitcoin dominance is above 55. I'd really like to see it closer to 50. There will be some alts that that pop, that perform well, but most of them won't.